Let me tell you something most men never figure out. Attraction isn't built through conversation. It's triggered by something else, something that happens before you even say a word. And most men kill their chances without realizing what they're doing wrong. Here's what's happening. While you're thinking about what to say, how to be interesting, what compliment to give, she's already decided, not based on your words, based on signals you didn't even know you were sending. And if those signals are off, nothing you say will fix it. The men who get her attention do something different. They use 9 specific gestures that communicate value without trying. These gestures are so subtle, most men never notice them. But women? They pick up on them immediately. And they respond. You've been focusing on the wrong things your entire life. What actually triggers desire is something completely different. Something you can learn. Something you can implement tonight. I'm about to show you all 9. Pay close attention. Now, before we go further, this isn't about manipulation. It's not about tricking women or being someone you're not. This is about understanding communication. Because attraction isn't logic, it's biology. And biology responds to signals. Here's what most people won't tell you. Women aren't consciously analyzing your gestures. They're reading them instinctively, the same way you can sense when someone's uncomfortable or confident without them saying a word. These gestures work because they tap into evolutionary psychology, the subconscious patterns women have responded to for thousands of years. So let's talk about why most men get this completely wrong. Most men walk into interactions focused entirely on the verbal. What should I say? How do I keep the conversation going? What story should I tell? And they miss the fact that she's made her decision about them in the first 10 seconds. Not based on words, based on how they move, how they position themselves, how they react to her presence. Think about it like this. When you meet someone for the first time, your brain processes hundreds of microsignals before they finish their first sentence. Are they nervous, confident, seeking validation? Your subconscious reads all of it. And women's brains are even more attuned to this because, evolutionarily, they had to quickly assess whether a man was strong, certain, and capable of leading. So here's the problem. If your gestures communicate uncertainty, neediness, or that you're trying to impress her, her attraction shuts down instantly, before your personality, humor, or intelligence even get a chance to register. And this is why you've seen guys who aren't particularly smart or funny somehow attract women effortlessly. It's not what they're saying. It's what their body language is communicating without them even knowing it. The difference between men who struggle with attraction and men who don't isn't personality. It's body language fluency. The men who naturally attract women aren't doing anything magical. They're simply moving through the world with gestures that signal value, control, and certainty. And you can learn every single one of them. So here's what I'm going to show you. 9 specific gestures that communicate high value without trying. We're going to cover the delayed acknowledgement, the spatial shift, the slow glance, the anchoring touch, the dismissive reset, the split-second pause, the ownership gesture, the exit frame, and the power pull. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete non-verbal toolkit. You'll never walk into an interaction wondering what you're doing wrong. You'll know exactly how to move, when to move, and what every gesture communicates. Let's start with gesture number 1, the delayed acknowledgement. Here's what most men do. A woman walks into the room or approaches them, and they immediately light up. Eyes go straight to her, body shifts toward her, full attention locked in. And what does that communicate? That she's the most interesting thing in the space, that you were waiting for her, that your attention is cheap. The delayed acknowledgement flips this. When she enters or approaches, you don't react immediately. You continue whatever you're doing for 2 to 3 seconds. Finish your sentence, complete your gesture, then and only then, you turn to acknowledge her. Casual, neutral to warm, not overeager. What does this do psychologically? It signals pre-selection. It communicates that you're not starved for female attention, that other things in your world hold value. And more importantly, it creates a tiny moment of uncertainty in her mind. Did he notice me? Why didn't he react? That uncertainty is powerful. It makes her seek your validation instead of you seeking hers. This gesture works in every context: dates, social gatherings. When she re-enters the room, the key is subtlety. 2 to 3 seconds, not 30. You're not ignoring her. You're just not reactive to her presence. Now, once you've controlled the acknowledgement, the next gesture controls something even more powerful: the space between you. Gesture number 2, the spatial shift. Most men, when they're talking to a woman they're attracted to, stay locked in one position, leaning in the entire conversation, standing in the same spot, fixed, like they're afraid that if they move, they'll lose her attention. And that rigidity, it screams insecurity. It says, I'm holding on to this moment because I don't know if I'll get another one. The spatial shift is about creating and closing distance deliberately. Mid-conversation, you lean back slightly, not dramatically, just a subtle shift. You create a small gap. Then, when she's speaking about something that matters to her, you lean in for a moment. Close the gap, then return to neutral. This rhythm, advance, retreat, advance, creates what's called push-pull tension. It keeps her engaged because she's never settled. She's always responding to your movement. Here's the psychology. When you control the space between you, you're communicating territorial confidence. You're showing that you're comfortable moving within the interaction, that you don't need to cling to proximity. And women read this as high status because only men who are certain of their value create and close distance without fear. The advanced version: pair the spatial shift with breaking eye contact. Step back, look away briefly, then return. It's the ultimate comfort signal. And now that you've controlled acknowledgement and space, the next gesture is all about where you look and how long you hold it. Gesture number 3, the slow glance. Most men break eye contact too quickly. They look at a woman, she looks back, and within a second or two, they glance away. Nervous, unsure. And that quick break? It signals discomfort with intimacy. It tells her, I can't hold this intensity. I'm not confident enough to let this moment linger. The slow glance does the opposite. When she's speaking, you maintain eye contact. But instead of breaking it at the natural comfort point, that 1 to 2 second mark where most people look away, you hold it. 3, 4 seconds. Long enough that it moves past comfortable and into something else. Tension. Connection. Not staring aggressively, just holding deliberately. Here's what happens psychologically. Extended eye contact triggers intimacy. It forces presence. Most people can't handle it, so they break first. But when you hold, you're communicating that you're comfortable with closeness, that you're not afraid of the intensity she creates. And women read this as confidence at the deepest level. The key is the look itself. Not desperate, not pleading, neutral to slightly amused. Like you're choosing to hold the gaze, not trapped in it. And after you've held it longer than she expects, you break deliberately, like it was your decision to let go. Eye contact creates tension, but touch, done right, seals the connection. That's gesture number 4. Gesture number 4, the anchoring touch. Most men either avoid touching entirely, or when they finally do, it's awkward, hesitant, like they're asking permission with their body language. And that hesitation communicates the exact opposite of what they want. It signals uncertainty, that they're not sure if they're allowed to touch, that they see her as untouchable. The anchoring touch is brief, confident, and deliberate. During a conversation transition, you place your hand on her shoulder for a moment. When you're guiding her through a door, your hand rests on her upper back for 2 seconds. When she makes you laugh, you touch her elbow. Light, confident. Then you release. You're not lingering. You're anchoring a moment. Here's the psychology. Touch breaks the physical barrier. Every interaction has an invisible wall, touched or not touched. Most men never cross it, so they stay in the not touched category. But when you touch confidently, even briefly, you establish a new baseline. You're now in the comfortable with physical contact category. And that shifts everything. The key is neutral zones, shoulder, elbow, upper back during transitions, never lingering, never asking, just confident, brief contact that says, I'm comfortable with you in my space and you're comfortable with me in yours. Those 4 gestures build attraction, but the next 5, they maintain it and flip the power dynamic completely. Starting with this, gesture number 5, the dismissive reset. Here's a mistake men make once they have her attention. They give her all of it, every second, full focus, no breaks. And while that seems like good engagement, it actually works against you. Because when she has 100% of your attention at all times, she assumes it's cheap, that anyone could get it, that you have nothing else competing for your focus. The dismissive reset fixes this. Mid-conversation, after you've built some momentum, you briefly break your attention. Glance at your phone, not picking it up, not texting, just a quick check, 2 seconds. Then you return to the conversation naturally. No apology, no explanation. You just came back. What does this do? It resets the frame. It reminds her that you have a life outside this interaction, that your attention isn't guaranteed, and psychologically, it creates a tiny spike of insecurity. Wait, am I losing him? Is something more important? That micro dose of uncertainty keeps her investing. She starts working a little harder to keep your attention because she realizes it's not automatic. The timing is critical. You don't do this in the first 2 minutes. That's just rude. You do it after 5 to 7 minutes of solid engagement, after she's comfortable. That's when the reset has power. And you only do it once, maybe twice. Too much, and you're just distracted. But now that you've reset her attention, this next gesture teaches you to control the conversation pace. Gesture number 6, the split-second pause. Most men, when a woman asks them a question or makes a statement, respond immediately. No gap, instant reply. And that immediate response? It signals reactivity. It says, I'm in your frame, I'm responding to you, I'm following your lead. The split-second pause flips this. When she finishes speaking, you don't rush to fill the silence. You hold eye contact. You breathe. 1, 2 seconds, then you respond. Calm, measured, like you're choosing your words instead of reacting to hers. Here's the psychology. Pausing shows you're not anxious about silence. Most people are terrified of conversational gaps, so they fill them instantly. But confident people? They let silence exist. They're comfortable with it. And when you pause before responding, you're communicating that you're processing what she said, that her words matter enough to consider, but more importantly, that you're not in a rush to please her with your answer. The look during the pause is critical. Not thinking hard, not confused, neutral to slightly amused, like you're deciding how much to reveal, and that creates intrigue, because now she's wondering what you're about to say. She's anticipating, she's waiting for your response, which means she's in your frame. Now that you've controlled conversation pace, this next gesture is about controlling the physical space you occupy. Gesture number 7, the ownership gesture. When most men enter a space, a bar, a restaurant, a social setting, they compress themselves. They take up minimal room, bag tucked close, jacket folded small. They're trying not to impose, not to take up too much space. And that compression, it communicates low status. It says, I'm not sure I belong here. I'm trying to make myself smaller so I don't bother anyone. The ownership gesture is the opposite. When you arrive, you claim space. You place your jacket on the back of the chair, your drink on the table, keys, phone, casually positioned, not asking permission, not checking if it's okay, just occupying the territory like you belong there. And your posture? Open, relaxed, taking up the space you need. Here's what this does psychologically. Claiming space signals territorial confidence. It's a primal indicator of status. High status individuals take up space because they're comfortable with their right to exist in it. Low status individuals compress because they don't feel they've earned the room. And women read this instantly. When you walk in and claim your territory without hesitation, you're communicating, I belong here. This space is mine. The advanced move? When you're at a table with her, move her items slightly to make room for yours. Subtle, not rude, just a natural claim of shared space. It's a quiet dominant signal that she'll notice without consciously realizing it. But claiming space is one thing. Knowing when to leave? That's the next level move. Gesture number 8, the exit frame. Most men, when they're with a woman they're interested in, operate with unlimited availability. No time limit. They'll stay as long as she's willing to engage. And that unlimited availability? It communicates that you have nothing more valuable to do, that she's the peak of your day, that your time isn't scarce. The exit frame changes this. Early in the interaction, within the first few minutes, you mention that you have somewhere to be. I've got about 30 minutes before I need to head out. Casual, not apologetic, just a fact. And then you engage fully for that time. But when the limit arrives, you actually leave, even if it's going well, especially if it's going well. What does this create? Scarcity. Time scarcity is one of the most powerful psychological triggers. When something is limited, it becomes more valuable. And when you frame your time as limited, you're communicating that your attention is a scarce resource, that she's lucky to have these 30 minutes, not the other way around. Here's the power move. When the time comes and you prepare to leave, sometimes she'll ask for more time. Do you really have to go? And that's the flip. Now she's the one trying to extend the interaction. She's chasing your time instead of you trying to hold on to hers. And if you do stay, you stay on your terms. I can do another 15 minutes. Not unlimited, still controlled. This gesture prevents overstaying. It prevents the desperate, please don't leave energy. And it sets up the final, most powerful gesture of all. Gesture number 9, the power pull. This is the most powerful one. Here's what happens after you've built attraction using gestures 1 through 8. You've created tension. You've established value. She's engaged. And most men at this point do what? They maintain that same level of attention, same frequency of contact, same availability. They think, it's working, so I'll keep doing exactly this. And that consistency, it kills the dynamic. Because there's no contrast, no push-pull, no space for her to wonder or chase. The power pull is about creating intentional distance after building connection. After a strong interaction, a good date, a great conversation, you pull back. Not in anger, not as punishment, but strategically. You wait longer than expected to text. You're less available than before. Not disappearing, just less present. And this creates a contrast that triggers something powerful. When you pull back after building attraction, you activate loss aversion. Humans pursue what withdraws. She had your attention, she felt your interest. And now there's less of it, not gone, just less. And that reduction creates desire, because now she's comparing. He was more present before. What changed? Did I do something? Is he losing interest? And that uncertainty? It makes her invest. She starts reaching out more. She initiates. She closes the gap you created. The sequence is critical. Build connection with gestures 1 through 8. Then pull. Create space. Let her feel the absence. And when she re-engages, you've completed the power flip. She's now the one pursuing. You're the one being chased. That's the 9-gesture system. But there's something deeper here that most men miss about all of this. Here's the uncomfortable truth about all 9 of these gestures. And this might be hard to hear. These gestures don't make you attractive. They reveal that you already see yourself as valuable. Because here's what most men don't understand. Women don't desire the gestures. They desire the man who believes he's worth waiting for, worth chasing, worth pursuing. Every single gesture in this video, The delayed acknowledgement, the spatial shift, the slow glance, all of them, they're symptoms of internal frame, not tricks to fake it. If you perform these gestures while still believing deep down that you're not enough, she'll sense it. Women are incredibly attuned to incongruence. When your body language says one thing but your energy says another, they feel it. And the gestures fall flat, not because they don't work, but because you're trying to use them to hide desperation instead of express genuine selectivity. Most men learn tactics to get women, but high-value men use gestures to filter women who recognize their value. That's the difference between manipulation and communication. One is trying to trick her into liking you, the other is showing her who you are and letting her decide if she's worthy of your attention. So ask yourself, are you using these gestures to hide the fact that you don't feel like enough? Or are you using them to communicate that you know your worth and you're deciding if she meets your standards? Because that shift, from hoping she picks you to deciding if she's right for you, that's what makes these gestures devastating. The gestures are tools, but the frame is everything. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 9 gestures surprised you the most? Have you used any of them without realizing it? And more importantly, have you seen women respond differently when you stopped trying to win them over and started operating from your own frame? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I read every single one, not just to collect engagement, but because I want to know what's working for you and where you're getting stuck. This isn't a one-way lecture. This is a conversation. And the men who engage here, who share their experiences and learn from each other, are the ones who see the fastest results. Tell me which gesture you're going to implement first. Share a time you accidentally used one of these and it worked. Ask questions about any gesture that's unclear. I'm here. I respond. Because this channel isn't just about dating tactics. It's about men understanding psychology, taking their power back, and building lives where they're the prize. If you're done playing games, done overanalyzing every text message, done putting her on a pedestal while you shrink yourself, you're in the right place. The men who understand this don't beg for attention. They don't chase validation. They lead from strength. And women who are worth your time, they recognize that instantly. Remember, you're not the backup plan. You're not the maybe. You're the man women regret losing. And the man who knows that doesn't need to prove it. His gestures just remind her.